Right, Diets Unwrapped. My goodness, what are we hitting this week?
We
Is
are
it just
doing...
me?
You're honoured, Teresa. You can absolutely no. Don't you worry. You can. You don't have to stay. You can go if you need to.
No, I'm just conscious that I don't want you not wasting your time, clearly, because talking to me wouldn't be wasting your time at all, but it must be much nicer for you if you have more than an audience of one.
It's actually, a lot of people watch this on catch up. So
Right.
no, Lucy and I have done, this is not, daytime sessions are tricky. So we have done this to ourselves many times. And no, then we see, 30 odd people watch it on catch up. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, no, it's just nice to have a face here. So we're happy. Yeah, what are we doing, Liz?
So we're doing the little black dress diet, which is very timely for this time of year. But before actually looking into it, I was kind of like, oh, is there like a specific little black dress diet? Because I feel like it's the kind of phrase, you hear thrown about, just like you were saying to me, Nigel, with the bikini diet in the summer. Yeah. I mean, this is literally just the name changes depending on the time of the year. So what I was doing was, in preparation for this, I was literally Googling kind of little black dress diet, Christmas diet, and lots of different newspapers had lots of different diets, all kind of around, black dresses. But I did stumble across one in particular that was actually called the little black dress diet. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but you'll be able to correct me. His name is Michael Van Straten. He is a retired osteopath, naturopath, and acupuncturist. And he created a diet. Now, again, to me, when I looked at his titles, I was thinking, you're not a dietitian, you're not a nutritionist, yet you're being associated with a diet. And that's definitely not the first time we've seen that on Diets Unwrapped.
Oh, sadly not. No, I do know this gentleman. He used to have his own little diet show on a radio program, and I can only imagine what garbage this diet is going to be that he's written. Do tell us.
Well, websites never scared me so much. So this is a diet that's recommended for people who need quick weight loss. And he does say this is for health reasons, but if you need to quickly fit into a dress, that's absolutely fine if you want to lose weight really quickly. And we're talking about 10 pounds in 10 days. And when we talk about safe rates of weight loss, well, Nigel and I would be referring to about 1 to 2 pounds a week.
Yeah.
He's almost doubled that if you're hitting that higher end, and that's just seeing that alone was really scary to think that this is a diet that's literally available for anyone who Googles this and stumbles across it, and that they can potentially lose 10 pounds in 10 days. Now that won't be true fat loss, because there'll be water loss, potentially muscle loss, depending on what food you're eating, but still that's putting your health dramatically at risk, and it's crazy that things like that are allowed to be published.
Well, years ago I used to write lots of diets for magazines and newspapers, and I mean they would often be a beach diet, get ready for Christmas diet, but and I mean they weren't they weren't my proudest moments, but those were never allowed to encourage anything more than a weight loss of between 1 and 2 pounds a week. And the thing that makes me so cross, Lucy, is if we churn this sort of garbage out, we'd be struck off.
Absolutely.
It's the worst case I read recently was one that was lose 48 pounds in 3 weeks. Now, the only way I know how you would do that is to cut both legs off, probably. I mean, just absolutely horrendous. And I mean, normally they are, the way they'll achieve this is usually either long periods without eating at all, so fasting, detoxing, or cutting out at least a whole food group. I mean, I'm not sure quite what methods he's using here, but the very
Wow.
name of it, isn't it? Little Black Dress Diet is just to, you know, to squeeze into something ready for the party season. Utter twaddle.
Well, his methods, very interesting, was based around the idea of food combining.
Oh.
Now, he says that you shouldn't mix protein and carbohydrates. I was thinking, okay. Now, the reason behind that, because we always want a reason why we're doing something, particularly, for example, when Nigel and I are working with people, we'll explain why we might tell you to do something. Usually we're telling people to combine protein and carbohydrates. So this is kind of the opposite of that. Now, his reason for not mixing protein and carbohydrates, well, he doesn't have one. He doesn't know why it works, but apparently it works. I don't think I have anything to say about that.
No. I suppose it's a bit like walking into a bank with a gun and stealing money. Don't know why I got any money. I just got some, you know, instead of actually going and get a job. It's a bit, you know, the same sort of thing here. Crazy principles. What are you doing? You're just cutting out food groups, essentially.
Yeah, because you're either having protein or you're having carbs. And I imagine if you look at this diet in lots of detail, it will tell you to eliminate the carbs completely. And they did have a couple of like examples of the meal plans on there. And when we're talking about carbs, we are just pretty much talking about fruit and veg. Maybe you're lucky if you get a slice of bread or, you know, a cracker in there. But when I was looking at Little Black Dress diets outside of his diet as well, all of them are pretty much excluding carbs. And it's no wonder then that you're seeing such dramatic weight loss in a short time, because one, you were probably restricting your calories a lot. Most of these are 1,200 calories or probably less. When I was kind of looking at them, I was thinking there's no way that's reaching 1,200 calories. But by eliminating carbs, when we have carbs in our body and they're stored, they actually store water with them. So if you're not eating carbs, you've got no carbs to store, you're going to use them all up. And once all the carbs are stored as glycogen are used up, well, the water's not going to be stored. So you're going to see a drop in your weight because you've lost water weight. You've probably not lost any kind of body fat. You've probably lost muscle mass, if anything, that quickly. So if anything, this diet isn't actually achieving fat loss, which is what people want when they're losing weight. We say weight generically because we kind of all know what it means, but we don't specifically say it. When we want to lose weight, we want to lose body fat. We don't want to lose muscle mass. We don't particularly, I mean, water weight changes every day anyway. But this diet essentially is just going to see you drop water weight pretty quickly and maybe a bit of muscle mass. And as we know from Back to Basics, we need our muscle mass. We desperately need it.
I mean, I know we're kind of smirking at it a little bit. Do you know what breaks my heart is the women that have been caught in this kind of body dysmorphia, this whole trap of dieting, and that, you know, almost what the reading on the scales is the thing that determines how somebody feels about themselves that day. This just underpins all of that. And it's just wrong. It's immoral. It's not ethical. There's no science to it.
Exactly. He doesn't have the science. So how can you recommend something if you've literally got no evidence to prove it?
Yeah. You know, and again, you think what we do in Back to Basics, so often we're spending so much time supporting women to break away from that diet mentality, that idea that, you know, there are good foods and bad foods, or that, you know, I can't eat that, I'm being good. All this kind of, you know, unhealthy relationship with foods. And this just, I mean, it sucks somebody into that pathway. And it just beggars belief. It really, I mean, it makes me boil. I get so cross about it.
I feel exactly the same. And I think as well, because he's got these titles of an osteopath, a naturopath, an acupuncturist, well, unless you know specifically what those are, and a lot of people might, they might think, well, they've got, you know, professional titles, they know what they're talking about. Doesn't necessarily, just because they're not a nutritionist or dietitian specifically, someone will look at those titles and go, right, this is absolutely fine because some health professional is saying that. And unfortunately, like you said, they'll get kind of sucked in and believe it. And I mean, geez, I mean, £10 in 10 days looks attractive, doesn't it? I mean, there's no denying it for a lot of people, but it's definitely not the safest way to do it. And even if you go on this diet, you do lose £10 in 10 days, which is really, really hard work. And even he admitted that this is not easy to do. You'll get to the end of those 10 days, maybe you fit into that dress you really wanted to fit in, but after that, you're going to go back to eating as you were. You'll start putting back on that weight because it's probably just water weight that you've lost again. And you're probably going to feel even worse in your body because you've not been able to keep that weight off, and you get stuck in that cycle. And that is why dieting is such a vicious cycle that is so hard to get out of. And I know we're biased because, you know, back to basics is something we do all the time, but it really is the right way personally to help people to actually long-term lose their weight. And I mean, we finished back to basics last week, I think it was. And so for over three months, 12 weeks, women were learning how to lose weight gradually in the long term. So hopefully the people who have been on to back to basics are now in December this year going, great, I don't have to go on another diet this year because I know what I need to do. I've made those changes. And to be honest, we can't ask for any more than people to be entering this month, you know, not having to panic about what diet they need to do next.
Absolutely. And I really hope, you know, again, that like this evening, we're doing the Back to Basics Christmas planning session. And again, there, it's not about restrict yourself or, you know, or exercise like mad because you're going to be overindulging. It's just about accepting that we're going to go into this season. Let's look at, you know, let's plan it. Let's own it. Let's not just go into it thinking I'll do the best I can. And a similar thing here, you know, I think if you're getting ready for Christmas parties and what have you, thinking, well, I would have really liked to have got into that black dress or that jacket or what have you. The reality is, you know, again, really easy to say, but instead of embarking on some daft diet like this, decide, right, so that's my plan for 2023 is I am going to get there for next year. I'm going to, you know, do that in a way that is maintainable, is healthy, is something that I know I can keep doing. And that's the change to make. You know, it can't be this horrible reactive kind of extreme dieting, because it's just lousy.
And I think perhaps the worst thing for me out of this entire diet he had on his website is that he actually acknowledged in a sentence at the end that crash diets don't work and they cause weight regain, but he still recommends them. And there are absolutely no ethics behind that, really, or moral.
No.
It's just horrible to see, I think, as a health professional.
Well, I think, you know, we're being pretty scathing to Mr. Van Straken, but if it's out there, if it's on a website, I'm afraid, you know, if you're going to put your name to it, you've got to take the flak. So, yeah, take it down or take the flak, man. Well, I don't know if you have any comments or questions, Teresa, but are you joining us this evening for Back to Basics?
Yes,
Christmas?
Yes, I am. And I've persuaded my sister to, she's signed up for Eventbrite, and I'm hoping very much that she will join in a supported group.
Fabulous.
I'm trying to push her to do it because she, like most of us, has been over the years yo-yoed with weight and now is really quite she needs some more guidance, and it doesn't necessarily come very well from one sister, does it?
Oh no. No, we I learned a long time ago, you know, I have a very female dominated family, all of whom have dieted most of their lives, and the last person they want to listen to is the dietitian in their family. Now, I'm sure you've had similar things, Lucy.
I can relate. My family won't listen to a word from me, but if one of them talks about nutrition, it's fine.
Yeah, Yeah, I'll never forget my mum one day was sitting telling me, I'm going to start having fruit for snacks. I went, oh, great idea. And she said, yeah, I was reading something in Women's Weekly. It looks really good. So you go for it, babe. Lovely. Right. Okay, well, we will see you this evening for Back to Basics for Christmas. Thank you for joining us, Teresa. Nice to see you.
You're very welcome. It's yeah, Tuesday. I don't work on Tuesday, so I can do various little bits, and you're one of them.
Lovely. Smash it. See you very soon then. Have a good afternoon, everybody. Thanks, Lucy.
Thanks.
Bye.